And welcome back to coverage here of the new Capenna Championship. Marcel Cycliffe with Paul Cheon, and it's time for our championship match. It's all been set up for you. We've got Jan Merkel. He's ready to go against Simon Nielsen. It's Jeskai Hinata versus Esper Midrange here, Paul. What do you make of the matchup?
I think it's going to be pretty close. We saw the last time that they played, it went to 3 games. I think Jan does have the significant edge in the first game, but once you go into those sideboarded matches, once more of that counter magic comes in from Simon Nielsen, I think the Esper mid-range deck might have the slight edge. So I think ultimately it's going to be something like a 50-50 matchup. Even Jan played against Esper 4 times in the Swiss, split the matches going 2-2. So I think it's incredibly close, and a lot of it will just come down to how these players maneuver in the matchup.
Yeah, we've seen the matchup once today already, as the players met in the upper final. It was Jan Merkel who was victorious over Simon Nielsen. If he's going to take the trophy home this time, though, Jan is going to have to win 2 matches. Same, of course, goes for Simon. And it looks like we're underway here. Magma Opus, a pair of Jwari Disruption, March of Swirling Mist, and a Fable to go with 2 lands here for Jan. What is Simon working with?
Looking at a turn 2 Luminarch Aspirant followed by a turn 3 Rafine, and this untapped land here from Jan was a huge draw. As you can see, he's got a pair of Jwari Disruptions, but all of his lands came into play tapped. So this untapped land was a really big draw here from Jan.
Wow, Jan hits it right when he needs it. Jwari Disruption's going to take out the Aspirant, and Simon says bye-bye, waves bye-bye to the Aspirant. And that lets Jan untap, play a land, and boom, Fable the Mirror Breaker on the battlefield. Go ahead, play a Rafine, he says. See if I care. And Simon says, I'll do exactly that. Rafine's on the battlefield now.
Nice.
Wow, and
Look
he finds
that
Voltage Surge. Perfect draw here. He's going to be able to make a treasure token off of the Goblin Shaman and then kill Rafine.
With the Voltage Surge. And just curious what he's going to do with the second discard here. We've seen Jan just kind of play the long game and just hard cast Magma Opus before. Might look to do that again. Certainly keeping Voltage Surge in hand. That 1-2 punch of attacking, making a treasure, and getting Rafine off the battlefield is very strong. Oh, that's a draw. That is a draw. So will not have the mana to cast the Opus this turn with the Hinata, but will be set up to do it next turn.
That's crazy. Of course, it is the 1-2 punch that this deck is kind of built around. Look, it has a solid game plan, kind of towards the middle, but towards the more controlling end of the middle. But Hinata plus Magma Opus is extremely tough to deal with. And remember, in the colors that Jan picked, he could have picked any number of different awesome cards at his disposal, and he chose Hinata here. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And now, I mean, Simon, all he's got left is that Underdog and an Infernal Grasp, right? So for example, if he runs out the Underdog next turn, he won't have the mana to kill Hinata, right? Because it would cost him 1 more mana on the Infernal Grasp. Now, he has no other choice, really. But if Jan Merkel can find an untapped land here...
He's going to need an untapped red source. Instead, he finds Magma Opus number 2, which will delay him a bit. But if he gets to resolve 2 Magma Opus this game, I think, you know, we can safely put the game win in his side here.
Yeah, and
in the meantime, what's going to happen?
So I think Jan may just wait on the Hinata, right? It's possible to just maybe wait so that you can go Hinata into Magma Opus on the same turn. That's kind of what you want to do, because that kind of plays around removal too, right? It's like, sure, you killed my Hinata, I still got to cast my Magma Opus for 2 or 3 mana.
Yeah, I might even find another one by then. Simon Nielsen surveying the scene here. That Infernal Grasp tempting to use on Reflection, but Reflection by itself doesn't really do that much, and Hinata is a major problem for Simon, but he's going to use it. He wants to be mana efficient here, and he's going to kill Reflection. This could really open the door for Jan to go off with Hinata Dawncrowned.
Right. I mean, if Simon draws nothing, the only play that he has available is just play tenacious underdog attack, right? Vanishing
Yes.
Verse does not kill Hinata.
Yeah, this is really bad news here for Simon Nielsen because Vanishing Verse was effectively a blank on this board. No targets for it. Sure, he gets in for 3, and he'll get a card out of the deal, lose 2 life. It is a place to put your mana for the turn, but it's nothing compared to what Jan's about to do.
All right, well, that was an answer. He found Infernal Grasp. However, remember, when you get that combination of Hinata plus Magma Opus, oftentimes the damage has already been done, right?
That's right. The 2 cards, the 4/4 come in. Sure, you can 1-for-1 with my Hinata for the cost of 3 mana and 2 life. And I'm going to draw 2 cards and get a 4/4 out of the deal. And that's the 3rd Magma Opus going into hand here for Jan. The amount of firepower he's going to be able to put on the battlefield is just stunning.
Yeah, I mean, if we just get to the point where Jan just naturally hits 8 mana, I mean,
Yes.
I don't see Simon coming back from that, right? You just go Opus, 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 go.
Now it looks like Jan has just passed the turn back over here. He's going to be a mana off from being able to cast Magma Opus because there's no targets. He does need something on Simon's side to target to get it to the full cheapness.
Yeah. To ensure the Magma Opus next turn, you might see Jan choose to cycle one of these Magma Opus.
Turn it into a treasure.
Yeah. And remember, still, with the 2 mana here and the tap land, with just the 2 mana available, will not be able to kill Hinata this turn.
That's right. All right, so 1 Magma Opus goes in the bin. That's a treasure. That's going to guarantee Hinata into Magma Opus for the next turn. He also finds Shatterskull Smashing off top of the library.
Right, I mean, he could also just play Shatterskull Smashing and start casting Magma Opus, but might as well have an additional threat on the board here. All right.
So is he going to upkeep this to get the land tapping value? Is that how he's going to proceed?
Yeah, I imagine he's going to look to tap down Hive of the Eye Tyrant and the Rafine's Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, just gonna have Simon be the first person to blink here, and have him use the Infernal Grasp. It'll cost 3 mana.
It does get interesting though, because if he allows him to do this, Simon can tap lands in response and then still play a spell like Wandering Emperor.
He can.
But we're not in the main phase anymore. Now we're in the second main, and we're just going to go to end step. So this is a good opening here for Merkel if he'd like to try to resolve. No, he's going to just keep it. A little bit of a staring match between these two. Oh, hello, make disappear. Now Simon wants the Hinata to start attacking so that he can turn these Wandering Emperors into something, right?
And not attacking into Wandering Emperor. I mean, this is just some
amazing.
Next level stuff here.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you reach this level, the idea is do nothing, right? Like nobody do anything. All right, finally Simon Nielsen's going to strike first here. He's going to play his removal spell, Infernal Grasp on Hinata, and that's going to force Jan Merkel to finally fire off a Magma Opus. He will get a significant advantage here, effectively a 3-for-1 out of the deal.
Right. He's going to get a 4/4. He's going to draw 2 cards. Simon's probably going to run out this Wandering Emperor too, right? And so that's going to get Make Disappeared.
Disappeared, yeah. Yeah, the second copy of Wandering Emperor in hand here for Simon might even make him more likely to do this. If this one gets countered, so be it. He may justify. I mean, it is tough to not use up your mana this turn.
Right.
All right, there it is. Magma Opus resolves. It's also worth noting that the token... Oh, and look at this. Now he's got a creature. Remember, he only needed 1 more creature.
Right.
And he now has generated one, so he can go Magma Opus, Magma Opus. He just spent 16 mana worth of instant speed goodness.
This is absurd.
On this one end step. That is insanity.
Right. You know, if you're somebody trying to figure out kind of the mana behind all of this, just assume that the Magma Opus will be cast. Like, how many targets? What? Oh, yeah. 3 mana, you say?
You don't need much, right? The only time when it gets a little tricky is if there's just nothing else on the board. But that is incredible. This is all in response. And by the way, worth noting here, that Jan allowed the Wandering Emperor to enter the battlefield.
Yeah, and look at the, I mean, just Jan just exhibiting so much patience, right? So many people there would have probably just gone for the counter there, given Simon has access to so much mana.
Incredible.
But now considering just the Flame Blessed Bolt here on the Wandering Emperor instead, still has access to make disappear.
Jan showing us what patience can do with a deck like this. Okay, he's just going to take out the Wandering Emperor here. He figures, I'm going to keep this Make Disappear perhaps for something better. Pretty annoying to have Vanishing Verse in hand here for Nielsen. It didn't hit Hinata. It can't hit the tokens either.
Right. It has a couple of targets. It's still good against the Goldspan Dragons. You could randomly nab a Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yes.
But there are also, of course, threats in the deck that it does not kill.
And let's take a look at life totals here as well. Paul Simon's down to 7. He is facing lethal from these two 4/4s.
Oh, big draw here from Jan.
So now Jan has the ability to protect his board via Make Disappear and, more importantly, Negate.
Yeah, this Negate is huge.
He's not going to need much.
He's not even going to need the Negate here, right? Because Simon's plan here is to double block and cast Wandering Emperor. So you can just Make Disappear the Wandering Emperor, still keep up Negate for the next removal spell that Simon could play next turn. How many Make Disappears in Jan's deck? I'm gonna guess 1.
The correct number is 2. Yeah,
there's 2.
You're close. You're close. He actually likes the card, it seems. And there's the Wandering Emperor. And that's going to walk right into Make Disappear. That patience really paying off here for Jan. He does still get to just 1-for-1 with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. But he's got Simon Nielsen down to 3. And he has a 4/4 on the battlefield. And he's going to resolve Fable the Mirror Breaker here as well. So the pressure very much mounting on Simon Nielsen.
Yeah, just so much to fight through here.
Down to 9 is Jan himself, but he's only facing 2 power right now.
Of course, we know Simon has nothing, but probably just wants to keep that Negate in case there's another Wandering Emperor in Simon's hand. All right, Jan just needs a removal spell here. Get that 2/2 out of the way and attack for the win.
That's right. He does take a chunk of damage here, though, down to 4. And there's a land. Now, remember, Fable's triggering. So these 2 lands are going to go away. It won't take much here. And it's not quite.
To the face!
He can dome with it. Spike Field Hazard. Exile you, says Jan Merkel. And even Simon has to laugh at that one. Good beats, I believe, is the term we're looking for here. That's game number 1 going to Jan Merkel with Jeskai Hinata. So a nice win for him. Very patiently setting up that double Magma Opus turn, Paul. That was when the game swung in his direction.
Yeah. Now, I am not super familiar playing the Hinata deck, but I definitely probably would have incorrectly played that Hinata at a much earlier turn. And could have easily been in a position where I had lost that game. Whereas, you know, Jan certainly knows this deck inside and out and knows the proper timings for that Hinata. Waited patiently until he can cast double Magma Opus with Hinata in play.
1 Magma Opus just sometimes isn't good enough. Jan Merkel aiming for the sky there. And now players are closer going to check out their sideboards. Jan, another great run here in what is becoming quite the career for him. It was 16 years ago, when he was 16 years old, that he won Pro Tour Kobe. That was in 2006. It was all limited. It was a draft Pro Tour. And he took that down. And somehow 16 years later, he finds himself in the finals of another Pro Tour level event. This is a set championship, but this is a similar structure. And it's really impressive to be that good over that period of time. He's mainly a Magic Online player. That's kind of where he does most of his testing. And, you know, that really paid off for him when he won the Mox, the Season 3 championship last year. And also, probably not a coincidence, his testing team is very Magic Online centric. he tested with Logan Nettles, Daniel Gutschel, Jonathan Angelescu, and Tom White. And that's, if you play Magic Online, Jabberwocky, Gold Ducket, JPA93, and McWinsauce. Like, these are names that if you play a lot, you'll go, oh, I've played against that person before.
No. I'm about to incinerate some tickets because I am playing against one of those guys.
That's right. And they all teamed up for this. It was a small team, just the 5 of them. But they have to be happy with the result. One of their teammates makes a deep run. Logan also made it into the World Championship, so he got his goal as well. And this Magic Online-centric team with a great showing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're telling me that Jan, if he wins this one, we're going to have to wait another 16 years? 48?
I don't think so.
What he's going to go for here?
No, he top-8 the Zendikar Rising set championships. That was fairly recent. He also got 3rd at the World Championship last year. So, yeah, I think he's going to play in the World Championship this year.
Yeah. It probably won't take him 16 years this time around.
I wouldn't hold your breath on the 16-year plan there, Paul. Yeah, because right now, these 2 players, of course, also made it to the World Championship. They're kind of leading the charge for the 6 players that made it here from the new Capenna Championship. Okay, it looks like Fable the Mirrorbreaker on the battlefield here for Jan after he used a removal spell early. But in the meantime, yikes, Tenacious Underdog, a wedding announcement on the other side.
Yeah, and a big land draw earlier in turn number 3. Jan only was on 2. Needed to hit that 3rd one to get Fable of the Mirrorbreaker going. But yeah, this is now going to kind of unlock his hand, and he can kind of play it out the way that he wants. However, Simon also with a really solid start here. He's got some pressure. He's got the wedding announcement with the underdog, and importantly, got that important sideboard Disdainful Stroke, which I believe is the best card in this matchup for him. Not only does it allow him to counter Magma Opus, but it's also a way to counter both Hinata and Goldspan Dragon.
Wow, that is a lot. those are the best targets in the deck here for Jan. So Disdainful Stroke, perhaps a catch-all for those. Jan right now deciding what to do with his second trigger. This is one of the most difficult things to do in Standard, right? This is, Fable the Mirrorbreaker is one of the most popular cards in Standard. Some players think it's the best card in Standard, and that means that there's a lot of decisions points like this where it's how many cards do I discard, and if I do decide to discard them, which ones? Flame Blessed Bolt is looking to take care of Tenacious Underdog for good. Infernal Grasp is going to kill the 2/2 in response.
Jan discarded 1 card, didn't have a land drop.
And bingo,
but found the land off the loot.
That makes you shiver, taking the risk. All right, passes the turn back. So as the board sits now, it's just wedding announcement and a lowly 1/1 here for Nielsen. Yeah, not much.
Yeah, so he's gonna have a pair of 2/2s in the board after this turn with that key Disdainful Stroke here. But Jan not under a ton of pressure. Going to have a 2/2 here on top of that. Could choose to run out Fable of the Mirrorbreaker to play around Stroke.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how much pressure Jan is feeling here, right? Does he need to go for Hinata so that he can set up Magma Opus? Or does he have a little bit of time so that he can say, okay, I've got a 2/2 Reflection, I'll get another 2/2 from the Fable, and I can take my time here.
Yeah, and just needs to tap that a little bit differently, but if you let the auto tapper tap, it will keep your creature land as the untapped land, so make sure you automatically tap the Hall of Storm Giants. You want to represent the potential of a 1-mana removal spell there and keep up that Storm-Carved Coast.
Okay, Fable number 2 hits the battlefield. Now, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki not doing much here. Oh, it was another answer, Paul.
Yeah, and Simon is now out of gas. He's got a reactive hand, so he can prevent what Jan's looking to do with the cards in his hand, right? You can kill the Hinata and you can counter Magma Opus. But Jan will still be utilizing that Fable. He's got the creature land in play, so Jan's slightly ahead here on resources.
Simon's feeling a little chippy here. He's going to get in for just 2 damage. Not missing any land drops, that's for sure, for Simon Nielsen.
Yeah, and that, by the way, you mentioned this a few rounds ago, but the decision to play more copies of Flame Blessed Bolt over Voltage Surge, right?
Yes.
Which is not something that you see often, right? Coming into this, it was all about making sure you have ways to kill Rafine. But Jan
That's right.
identifying that, you know what? I think the Tenacious Underdog might be a more problematic card for him.
Super interesting. I mean, you know, his deck does have the luxury of going over the top of Rafine, right? Like he can just do bigger, more powerful things, and maybe that's what he's leaning on. He does pick up a copy of that card, Flame Blessed Bolt, after discarding a land.
Oh, look, wants to clear the way to make more treasures to put him in a position where he can just hard cast Magma Opus or start getting in with Hall of Storm Giants.
Yeah, last turn we saw Infernal Grasp from Simon Nielsen actually target the Reflection to try to keep Jan Merkel back. In the meantime, it's going to be go. Hinata could go on the stack, but from what we've seen from Jan, he seems reluctant to do so.
He is close to just casting Magma Opus, right? We're looking at 5 lands, a treasure. Next turn you get another treasure, potentially.
So if Disdainful Stroke's the card he's thinking about, is there a world where he says, fine, you're going to get one of these cards with it? I mean, he's not under that much pressure.
Yeah, in which case he likely wants the Hinata to get countered, right? But this was important. This was important. This was an important threat for Simon Nielsen. Just anything. Anything to put some pressure, because he does have the stroke to slow down Jan and deal with at least one of the threats in his hand.
In the meantime, another attack. The Wedding Party is going to grow here on Nsep. It's a slow threat, right? Wedding Announcement's not the type of card that kills you right away, but it is a long-term problem for Jan.
Yeah, I mean, when everything is said and done, for 3 mana, you're getting 3 2/2s and an Anthem effect, right?
Yeah.
That is extremely powerful.
Yeah, this board he could have the second Wedding Announcement. These could all be 3/3s somehow. All right, it's Make Disappear. Can't feel like that's what Jan wanted to see at this point.
Right. So you could play Hinata, and if you think your opponent has a counterspell, you could Make Disappear and sack one of your creatures, right, to counter the Disdainful Stroke if you want.
That's true, and that window may not always be open to do so.
And Jan might be happy with that trade. Maybe he does not want Simon Nielsen to attack with 2 creatures and draw a card.
Yep.
Off the Wedding Announcement. I mean, if you're Simon, literally anything. I mean, a 4/4 body is already problematic. So
yes.
Is Jan going to go for the Make Disappear here for 4 and sack that Reflection?
Like, is the Reflection doing anything else?
Nothing.
Right? It has a high upside, but not on this board.
And Simon has no cards in hand, right?
Right. Oh, that's you feel a sense of relief, right? Finally from Merkel, he can, okay, this is the game plan. You don't draw anything for the turn relevant, and I get to cast Magma Opus.
Yeah, so Simon wants another removal spell here.
Oh, he needs it now.
To kill Hinata or a counter spell for Magma Opus.
Yes, one or the other. Killing Hinata certainly would be great. Let's see what he finds.
Big draw.
Ooh, cycle. He gets a redraw. Rafine's Tower, he can cycle that.
If he finds a grasp, it's still okay.
Wandering Emperor, not quite.
Not quite. And now you're going to see Jan here fire off a Magma Opus.
Huge.
And by the way, that Jwari Disruption, it can counter that Wandering Emperor.
Oh no, that worked out horribly for Nielsen. Does Nielsen he's going to float, but does he need to actually cast Wandering Emperor here in case Jan were to draw a Jwari Disruption? Like, he already did, but he doesn't know that he has it.
It's tough because if you play the Wandering Emperor, the Hinata will just attack and kill it. So maybe you hold it, but I mean, I just don't know how you get through all just everything that's being presented here.
Really tough spot here for Nielsen. You're totally correct, Paul. It just could get attacked out anyway. But he is going to have to put it on the stack before he goes to the next phase anyway, so he may as well do it before Jan has the cards. But there it is, Jwari Disruption. Oof. Yeah, sorry, Simon. That's a beat right there. And now Magma Opus is going to resolve, by the way, after having wiped the board. Boy, and that's really nice, too. He drew Expressive Iteration as one of his 2 cards.
Yeah, and can Dragon's Fire, and just has 8 power on the board. I mean, I don't know what Simon can find here. This is not going to be enough.
Rafine way too slow. Rafine's going to be a huge.
3/6.
3/5, 3/6, yeah.
It is a 3/6, but if Jan attacks and then casts Dragonfire, that will get the Rafine off the battlefield.
That's true. Does he start with Iteration?
Yeah, I mean, unless he's considering attacking with the Hall of Storm Giants, but I imagine you just want Iteration here. I don't think
you can
there is a
dragons.
lethal attack here.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to hit first main phase here. So he's going to line up Expressive Iteration. And he sees, well, a negate.
Okay.
This is a board state worth protecting.
Yeah. At 15 life, I imagine we're just going to see an attack with both, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't see anything too wrong that can happen here. I suppose you just attack with Hinata, maybe? No, okay, he's going for the he's going for the attack with both. So now Simon could theoretically double block here. And
yeah, he's priced into just getting Rafine off the battlefield though, right?
Right. But the problem with the attack with the 4/4 and this double block is that you can't kill both creatures, right? You're 1 damage short. So you're basically just looking to kill Rafine or just keep your 4/4 alive and kill the token. We've seen this before, right? Ignore the Rafine. I'm ahead on board. Go ahead, attack me.
When Rafine's all by itself, you can ignore it. I mean, if you have the right board state, which Jan does. The negate could be absolutely massive here too, though, as we can see, Clearwater Pathway was a draw step for Simon Nielsen, and Jan Merkel looks like he's getting very close to picking up match number 1 quite quickly over Simon. Oh, wow. Fable the Mirror Breaker to the draw step too.
And I think it's Hall of Storm Giants time, potentially.
Yeah, you're right, Paul.
Yeah, this is lethal. Just attack with everything.
Yeah, I don't see any creature lands back there for Nielsen either. 2 of these creatures will get through, and that's all it takes for lethal, as match number 1 goes to Jan Merkel. He did that in impressive fashion, showed great patience and mastery over his list, and he gets the job done. Just a few too many lands there for Simon to be able to keep up. You can tell the pressure that Jan puts on you, because he, puts out this really scary potential 1-2 punch that you go, okay, but if you go Hinata into Magma Opus, I could just lose. So I need to have very specific set of cards, right? Simon needs pressure. He can't play purely reactive. He'll lose that, but he has to have well-timed answers as well. And if he doesn't have both, he loses. That's what we've seen here in both of the first 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the game plan if you're from Simon's side, right? You're hoping for that combination of 2-drop, 3-drop into counters, and he was talking about it. You want to sideboard into kind of this fish deck, where basically you play a couple of threats and then you just say go. If you don't play anything, I'm going to play Wandering Emperor, put some more pressure on the battlefield. But because Jan's deck really doesn't have his way of really curving out, it's one of those things where that's the game plan if you're the Esper deck, and Simon just wasn't able to put on the pressure because Jan had the combination of cheap removal for the creatures to deal with kind of that early threat, and then at that point, Simon just kind of ran out of gas.
That's right. That happened both of the games. 1 match in the books. Of course, we've got another one coming up. It could be the one that decides the champion here. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to coverage here of the new Capenna Championship. Marcel Sutcliffe with Paul Chion. It's a great pleasure to bring you coverage of the championship match where we just finished one of our best 2 out of 3 matches. Jan Merkel picking up the first one in impressive fashion, Paul. He played very well and the draws came together for him, and it was 2 pretty decisive games in his favor.
Yeah, and Simon, just kind of mentally needs to kind of get it together because Jan has already defeated Simon in this top 8, so now this is 2 matches that Jan is up. But of course, Simon still has a shot, but has a pretty big hill to climb here.
Yeah, he's going to need to pick up this match and then win the next one against a player that has defeated him twice today. He's got his tunes rolling and he's ready to go. Let's get underway here for our second match. How do the opening hands look from here, Paul? I see some decent stuff there for Jan, especially the expressive iteration. That always stands out.
I mean, this is a great hand for Simon too, right? You got a nice curve and you have that one of Spell Pierce. So this is kind of that thing that we were talking about before where it's like you have that early pressure and Jan doesn't have the Flame Blessed Bolt, does not have the removal spell, and another good draw here, Wandering Emperor from Simon. So this is the type of start that Simon wanted here in this matchup.
Finally, he has the 5 power, 6 power on board, and he can actually back it up with a well-timed tempo spell like Spell Pierce. Because we've seen Jan be pretty willing to take damage and just cast Fable the Mirror Breaker on 3 every time. Like, that's a priority for him. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it here. In fact, he does it right away, and that's going to earn a Spell Pierce straight away
spell.
here.
Yeah.
And even Jan has to smile.
2-drop Spell Pierce.
That is a nasty opener. And look at this Sora the Mirthless here as well.
And this is one of those situations where Jan probably can't afford to be patient, right? There's too much pressure. You might just see him jam Hinata turn 4 here, cross his fingers, and go next turn Magma Opus.
He just has to.
Yeah.
But the Hinata does look pretty good here.
It does, especially because Simon can go put a counter on my 2-3, turning it into 3-4, and he's got the Wandering Emperor, right? So Jan can't even block, and he's at 10. So this is going to be huge. I mean, Jan has to block, and he's going to lose his Hinata.
That's right. So he has to block, will lose Hinata, or he loses the game.
Right. Simon could also tick up Soren and just find a removal spell to kill Hinata.
This is an incredible sequence here from Simon Nielsen. Jan recognizing the situation he's in, but when they have everything, there's nothing you can do. And Simon Nielsen has it all with this opening draw. This is the type of hand he wanted to see. He's got Jan down to just 3. He has 3 lethal threats on the battlefield.
All right,
and there's
Simon,
not much that Jan can do.
Simon, you need to do that 3 more times, and boom, you're the champion. Easy, right?
How hard could it be? Jan's deck not really set up to come back from a scenario like this. He has to somehow get rid of or be able to block 3 lethal threats, and a very quick game 1 goes to Simon Nielsen. That gets him right back on track.
By the way, he took 7 damage there, revealing Amaria's Call off of
Sora.
Did
he really? Just
I mean, he was
off.
at 23. He could afford to take it. It was just, it's a lot of damage.
That's crazy.
So Simon's got to be feeling great about his chances in this match because game 1 is extremely important here. Gets a lot better for him after sideboard. Just need to look for a very, very similar start to kind of what he had in that last game. That is the recipe for success. You cannot just hold. You cannot just have a handful of removal spells and hope to get there.
So in order for that game to have gone Jan's way, he needed to have one of his 1-mana removal spells for the Luminarch Aspirant, right? Like that was the tipping point there. He just didn't remove it. It attacked him. It put counters on. It made lethal. Like it kind of did everything.
Yeah, and even play draw, right? When you're on the play, Jwari Disruption is just a hard counter on turn 2, right?
Right.
You can just counter the 2-drop, kill the 2-drop, counter the 3-drop. But the way that everything's sequenced out, it's Jan didn't have the removal for the 2-drop, had a Jwari Disruption on 2, but on turn 3, Simon just had another 2-drop to play with that Spell Pierce backup.
Wow, that was rough. Simon Nielsen not playing fair. Puts the beat down on Jan, says, okay, we're back in the game. Now he's got to pick up this game or the next to tie things at 1 match apiece. and force a deciding third match. Let's see if he can do it.
That is a pretty slow hand there from Jan.
Sure is. He at least gets to be on the play this time. And he can play Expressive Iteration. Oh, well.
Simon also has a pretty slow hand because all his lands come into play tapped. So that's a turn 3 aspirant.
Yikes. Jwari Disruption was what Jan decided to keep up here.
Now he will likely be able to resolve this. Well, he will definitely resolve this aspirant. It will not get disruption. Does Jan very likely to just run out the Expressive Iteration. And Jan realizing how clunky his hand is, and just discarding one of those extra Magma Opuses in hand. This allows him to go Expressive Iteration, find a land, and still have the ability to cast Jwari Disruption.
Once again, the one Spell Pierce kind of looming over. Okay, this is going to generate a land drop here for Merkel. He's got a couple of Fable the Mirror Breaker, Goldspan, Jwari Disruption, Magma Opus, Memory Deluge makes up the rest of his hand.
And if you run the Aspirant out, you play around the Disruption. The Raffine is very tempting, right? Because if you play Raffine, next turn you can go Aspirant plus Stroke. Oh, and just playing really patiently here, playing nothing.
So he wants to leave up Disdainful Stroke.
Right, doesn't want to get
look at that.
Yeah, doesn't want to get Goldspan Dragoned.
Man, but Expressive Iteration here for Jan Merkel is going to keep powering those land drops, keeping that hand stocked up, and he doesn't have to worry about Disdainful Stroke. So Simon giving up quite a bit here.
Right. And
but
this
like
is
you
not,
said, he didn't want to get dragoned.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but I mean, this is not the way that you win in this matchup. And so it's going to be really tough here for Simon. I mean, Jan has just been... The way that Jan would lose this game also is just him stumbling, but those Expressive Iterations have gone a really long way here. Okay, you play nothing, I'll play nothing.
And that certainly suits Jan Merkel from this standpoint. If he could shake hands with Simon and say, let's just not play anything for the first 4 turns, Jan would be like, yes, let's do that.
I'm in. I like this deal.
As we saw in the prior game, it doesn't work out well for him if Simon's, curving out 2-drop, 2-drop into 1-drop, 4-drop. It gets pretty ugly pretty quickly for him. Okay, Simon does get to use up his mana, however. He's going to cycle Raffine's Tower there.
And now I imagine we're going to see an Aspirant here with Stroke/Grasp Up. If you're Jan, I wonder if you Disruption this anyways and keep Simon down to just 1 mana. That would allow you to safely resolve Goldspan Dragon and get an attack in. Something to consider. You can also... No, you probably don't want to discard the Opus, but it looks like Jan is just content with Fable of the Mirror Breaker here, potentially, or maybe even just passing with that Memory Deluge.
Okay, Fable of the Mirror Breaker is going to be the play here for Jan. Card has done such good work.
Simon, given that he does have double Disdainful Stroke for the Goldspan Dragon / Hinata, might just go for the Grasp here just to utilize the mana. If you get Disruption, you do make Jan use that treasure, right?
Yep.
And then you can untap and go Raffine plus Stroke back up.
Jan doesn't have any will to fight over the Goblin Shaman. He immediately lets it go. Back over to you, Simon Nielsen. Simon's hand's coming around pretty nicely. He's got double Wedding Announcement plus...
He's at Raffine time. So now, Raffine. I mean, we're looking at a decent amount of pressure here, right? Jan doesn't have removal. And we're looking at an attack for 4 here, probably, with the Luminarch Aspirant. Oh, excuse me. He's going to pump up the Raffine to get it out of Voltage Surge range.
That's right.
Very heads up.
He feels that if Jan had Voltage Surge, he would have already used it on the Aspirant. So this is protection from future draws.
Yeah, and lot of patience here. Jan also very patient, but perhaps a little too patient this time.
Maybe he is behind and he's got his hands a little overloaded with action at this point.
Yeah,
Goldspan double Magma Opus in hand with Memory Deluge. That's a lot of mana.
yeah. I mean, there was certainly a part of me that was looking to perhaps use that Jwari Disruption just to tap Simon down and keep him with only one mana available, so that you can cast Dragon, attack with Dragon, and then have 4 mana. Even if Simon uses a removal spell on the Dragon, you have access to 6 mana.
Yes.
You can
And
play
when you have
Deluge.
and when you have 2 Magma Opus in hand, having a bunch of extra treasure around's not the worst. So he's going to discard the Deluge. He finds Valorous
Ooh.
Stance. And right now, Simon doesn't have a way to interact with it.
Yeah, critical draw there.
So he's going to go for Goldspan. That's going to get stroked, but he still has
He can
Valorous
Disruption.
Stance, right? Oh, and he can Disruption, of course.
He can Disruption it back.
And then also have mana for Valorous Stance?
He can, but he will not be able. He will not be able to kill the Rafine, right? Because it's got Ward 1.
You're right. So not so great there, but still, he did stick a Goldspan Dragon, and he's going to get the treasure.
Right. Simon could choose to block, although
He
that
has
would
a
leave him
decision.
vulnerable to a 1 mana removal spell. So maybe he just takes it. Yeah.
He does just take it. If it weren't for Merkel having a draw step plus 2 cards off of Fable this turn, he may have blocked it. It seemed that Jan didn't have it before, but that's too many fresh cards.
Right, but I mean, keep in mind, Simon basically has Jan on a 2-turn clock here, right? I mean, you go with the Luminarch Aspirant, that's 6. If you discard 2 spells, that's 8. And then next turn, even more with
Yes.
Disdainful Stroke. Also has a wedding announcement here. So extremely, extremely close here. Also, Iganjo, a key card here in Simon's hand. You can cast it for 2 mana, activate that ability to kill Goldspan Dragon.
Yes. So big hitters coming in here for Nielsen, looking to tie things up at a match apiece.
Might see Valorous Stance here on the Luminarch Aspirant potentially.
Yeah, he could do that. That would relieve a lot of this clock. And as we've seen, Rafine by itself, not the best. But no, he didn't.
Okay.
He took it all. Down to 9 goes Merkel.
Now, if Merkel's on the Magma Opus plan, that is not going to work for him, as Simon Nielsen does have Disdainful Stroke. This wedding announcement will draw Simon a card. Or does he want to just play Lisa? But that will leave him very vulnerable, right? By playing Lisa, I mean, you're only going to have the 1 mana up. I feel like Simon really, really wants to keep up Disdainful Stroke. He could also just pass and have that option of utilizing Iganjo and casting Stroke and still being able to play for a Jwari Disruption.
Yeah,
you can do
it's
all
true.
of those things.
That's a lot of stuff, and it looks like that's the line that Simon's
Okay,
going
so
to take here.
he is all in on those 2 threats that he has in play and does not want to add more here. Wants to get this Goldspan Dragon off the battlefield.
Can Jan afford to attack with the Goldspan?
Yeah, but if it's such a losing proposition when you're just chump blocking with it,
Of course.
too. It's so tough.
It's
Now,
going to be
Jan-
lethal.
Yeah, now Jan does have the stance, right? So he does have the stance here to kill one of those 2 threats that's on the battlefield. Could play Dragon.
Wow, a lot of options here for Merkel.
Merkel can also cast Magma Opus and Valorous Stance.
But he can't resolve Magma Opus through Stroke for the 1 turn where he really, really needs it, which is upkeep of next turn to keep those attackers off of him.
Jan could potentially use Valorous Stance to save Goldspan Dragon.
Could.
But
Feels like
he
it's
might-
earmarked to kill a threat, but
He exactly might be more interested in killing one of those threats that's in play on the other side.
he's in a precarious position here. He's going to be facing lethal damage. He does have a blocker for the Luminarch Aspirant, but if that blocker somehow disappears, he could just be dead.
Right. Now this Valorous Stance is key in Jan Merkel's hand. It'll help. It'll make sure that he will not die on the following turn, and then afterwards he'll have access to 6 mana here. So he can even play out another dragon here if he wants, and have the ability to cast Valorous Stance. And pay.
This is the decision point of the game.
Is he saving
are
his
you
dragon?
keeping your dragon, or are you killing a threat? He's going to keep the dragon here, Paul. Gives him more mana as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah, he does have access to 8 mana. Now remember, Simon has a stroke here for the Opus. Right?
Yeah, if that's the plan, it won't be enough, but he won't lose on the spot, will Jan, unless there's a removal spell from Simon.
Reflection will chump block the Aspirant.
Yes.
And Jan will take up to 6 damage off of the Rafine.
So he's going to go for the Magma Opus. Right. This is the one that's going to get countered. This is the type of play, of course, that could win him the game if it weren't to get countered.
And now if Simon can find a way to get this Reflection off the battlefield too,
GG.
That's the game. That's this match.
That would be it. He's going to have 3 mana left over, and he's going to have a draw step.
Infernal Grasp.
Infernal Grasp would do it. Simon being patient here, making sure that Jan pays the extra mana to target Rafine before firing off Disdainful Stroke. The little things add up. And let's see if Simon can find a top deck to win the match here and force a third match.
Big draw.
Oh, it's a land off the top. He didn't get there.
But remember, Simon is going to be able to draw 2 more cards after this attack.
Absolutely.
Right? He can find an instant speed removal spell before blockers.
He can.
He gets 2 more looks at an Infernal Grasp to kill this Reflection of Kiki-Jiki.
Wow, he has 3 looks this turn to try to find an answer, and this is for the match here. Okay, in come the creatures.
Full control, just in case.
All right, let's see if he can hit a removal spell.
Grasp?
He just has to get that Reflection of Kiki-Jiki out of the way, and not quite. Jan has to hold his breath here as he watches Simon sift through his library looking for the win, but he's unable to find it this turn.
And if you're Simon now, I mean, you probably just run out the Emperor and exile this Goldspan Dragon, right? Reflection has to block. You put your opponent down to 4. Run out the Wandering Emperor with the land. Go up to 12. And then just go, hey, Jan, I mean...
Good luck to you, sir.
Good luck. Jan will be able to survive the next turn, as his Magma Opus will survive.
Yes.
Will be cast, rather.
Jan will have a lot of cards to have been seen by then. Magma's Opus plus his draw step, plus he can tap down, fire off some damage here as well. Now, this is some sketchy territory for Simon as well as for Jan. Jan's going to be happy that he's alive at all.
Actually, Jan's going to need to draw a land here, right? If this Goldspan Dragon gets exiled, he only has 8 mana. Remember, Rafine has Ward 1.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you want to cast Magma Opus, you're going to need to draw another land here.
You're right.
Hinata would be great.
And Rafine's lethal attacker on its own. It's a tap land,
land.
Is there anything you can do? Does the Goldspan get him somewhere?
I don't think so. I think Simon...
2, 4, 6 mana. He doesn't.
I think Simon is going to tie this up here.
Oh, so close.
Ward 1. I wonder at what point in development that was added, but man, has that thing done a lot of damage.
Yeah, whose hand went up in a meeting and said, how about Ward 1? And there... me. He got me in the air, Paul. And there's the concession. Jan Merkel scoops him up, and Simon Nielsen evens things up at 1 match apiece, which of course means that we're going to play one best 2 out of 3 games for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff in our feature area, and the intensity is high as Simon Nielsen picks up match number 2. That was an impressive 2-game win for him as well, Paul. Remember, game 1 was not even remotely close. That's what he wanted to see. This one, though, it required a lot of navigation there from Simon.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with kind of the power and impact level of those counterspells, right? Being able to go, hey, you want to cast your fun 8 mana spell? Well, I have 2 mana for you. right? And that's what Simon needed. He needed that, game one, that's exactly kind of what he wanted. But what's more impressive is how he won that game too, right? He had the opportunity to run out that Luminarch Esper in turn 3, but chose to play it extremely patient and played at all the right moments in that match so that he always had access to at least interact with what Jan could potentially do, not what he actually had.
That's right. And, he also correctly recognized that those two threats he had were all that he needed to get the job done. He needed to craft his game plan around those two creatures. It absolutely worked out for him, and he's going to force a third and deciding match. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be back at the news desk to set up for the deciding match. Don't go anywhere.
It is one match apiece for Jan Merkel and Simon Nielsen as they battle for this trophy and the title of new Capenna champion. One match each, one to go to decide who goes home with that trophy. Hey everybody, Maria Bartholdi here. Let's take a look at our bracket as we get set up for our final match in our championship match. Jan Merkel, Simon Nielsen, Jeskai Hinata versus Esper Midrange. You see those ones right there? That's one match and one match apiece. So we've come to the final and third deciding match between these two players. They are putting on a show for us as well. Really, really exciting stuff. Cedric Phillips, Riley Knight. Let's check in on our World Championship races as well because we've decided it all this weekend. So much went down, everybody. Throughout the entire season, we've been adding players, 32 in total, to this fall's upcoming World Championship. Congrats to all the players who have made it there. And just look at these players. We've got so many good people competing this fall. I'm so excited for this. We filled out the rest of our bracket here, 19 players in total added this weekend, and it's setting itself up to be one of the best World Championships. I am so, so excited for it. But let's talk about this matchup that we just saw here in the championship match. Cedric, what are your thoughts here?
It's long, it's grindy, but that's fine because that's what this standard format kind of looks like. This is what three-color kind of mid-rangey formats do look like. There's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of haymakers, all that jazz. And you know, at the end of the day, these games are just going to take a little while. For me, Simon's got to be the aggressor in this matchup. He's got to get the game over with before Opus's plural kind of start to show up a little bit. Hinata and, everything that Jan's deck can do. his deck isn't the fastest, but he does have the ability to go, 2-drop Rafine, Wandering Emperor, have a start like that. But at the end of the day, these games are going to continue to be a little bit long, and we're going to see who can outgrind the other person.
All right, what about you, Riley? What are your thoughts here heading into match number 3?
Well, look, I'm certainly not the expert on this panel, and if Cedric says it is about grinding it out, I'm going to believe him. But an angle that I want to see Simon take is more of a tempo-based angle, to be honest. Like, his deck is set up, I believe, to get in with some early aggression. Luminarch Aspirant into Rafine, protect those threats with your counter magic, with your disruption, and don't ever really allow Jan to get a foot in the door. Look, if you have to grind, you got to grind. This is what we see in 3-color mid-range fests, absolutely. But what it really impressed me about the match that we just saw there that Simon won is that he seemed to adopt this position of like, I'm going to commit to the board early. I'm going to use my disruptive elements surgically. I'm going to hold back. I'm going to hold up mana, keep my opponent guessing, and never really, look to play this long, drawn-out, grindy game. Rather, get on the front foot, be proactive, and force the opponent to answer. I don't know if this is a sustainable angle that Simon can take. Maybe it was more of an opportunistic one that we saw in that second match, but it really worked out for the Dane, and that's what I want to see from the Esper mage here. I want to see more of that sort of almost tempo-oriented approach that he seems to take there.
Well, we decided to have another match for you all, so you're getting the maximum amount of magic that you're going to see today. And I don't know, to me, magic as Garfield intended. Here we go, that trophy's up for grabs! And all that confetti too. Marshall and Paul, take it away here for our championship match, the deciding match.
Thank you so much, Maria, and welcome back to the booth here at the Duke Capenna Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon, and we've got one match to decide it. That trophy is going to be in somebody's hands. It's either going to be Jan Merkel or Simon Nielsen, and we're going to find out right here and right now. They've split the first 2 matches, and they were in pretty convincing wins for either player, right? Quite the navigation there from Simon Nielsen in game 2 of match 2. We saw a lot of that from Jan Merkel in the first match as well, as he won 2-0. So now that they're tied up, it's a best 2 out of 3 for the championship. Let's see who's going to take this thing down.
Yeah, I mean, Simon's got to be feeling much better now. Finally able to get at least one match here from Jan. And really solid draw here as well. But Jan, on the play, kind of has a lot of the tools here. This is a really, really ideal start here for Jan. Cheap removal, check. Disruption, check. Iteration, check. This is exactly what he wants.
Let's see if he can make it work. He's going to go land, tap land. He did draw his 1 voltage surge. He would have preferred one of his 3 flame blessed bolt here, but he'll take it.
Likely going to not cast Iteration this turn, maybe wait for turn 4 to be able to go Iteration into Disruption. Now, if you're on Simon's side, he does have the underdog.
Yes.
Might just play that, because the only real thing that Jan can do is either cast another 1-mana removal spell or Jwari Disruption.
He has gotten nabbed by Jwari Disruption. He's probably thinking, if you had the Disruption, would you have played tap land last turn?
Right, and Jan also had the option of playing an untapped land on turn 2, right?
Exactly what I'm saying.
So some
maybe he
extra
says
mind
if you
games
had
here.
that, you would have played it. Throw that wedding announcement on the stack.
Please
That's
don't
what
counter
Jan
this, Simon is saying, because I think he's got a Rafine here.
Oh, he's going for the
Ooh.
Rafine, and this is a high leverage Jwari Disruption here from Jan Merkel. Now he gets to untap
Another one.
and go for Expressive Iteration into, well, looks like a counter spell here. Make Disappear, yeah.
Yeah, and this is just a nice controlling starter here from Jan. Simon just really can't get anything going here. Now if he chooses to play around the Disruption, well, good luck playing around the Make Disappear.
Very awkward here for Simon Nielsen. Going for the high upside play with Rafine.
Could choose to play the underdog here just because now Jan is going to hit land number 5, and that means that he could slam a Goldspan Dragon and might want to have Vanishing Verse up to kill the dragon while also putting a threat in play. Man, what a start here for Jan, right? Counter and kill everything while getting ahead on cards with these iterations.
It's really perfect. He hasn't found any of his finishers or his big stuff, but like This is
Well,
perfect.
there it is. There's
Hello,
one.
a finisher, a big stuff. Very nice. Magma Opus is going to go into hand. And then he gets to keep hitting his mana here as well. Wow. Very nice.
Right, and now, I mean, he's got all the lands. He's got the 8 lands. But will not have an immediate answer to this Kaito Shizuki.
If that's what he goes for, it does look like that's the case here. So here comes Kaito. Jari Disruption need not apply.
Now, if he does go for the minus here, Jan will probably go ahead and run off that Flame Blast Bolt and kill this Kaito. And he'll have Disruption here for the Tenacious Underdog.
Yes, he will. And the second one, filling up the graveyard, you know, it's rare that you get it to enough mana to be able to do both of them, so...
And I don't think you want Simon to draw cards off this Kaito, so I would be shocked if he doesn't go for the Flame Blast Bolt here on the Kaito. And at this point, I mean, you know, you've gotten a lot of value off these Disruptions. I don't know how much more value you can get, right? I know it's a Tenacious Underdog, but Simon already has... Okay.
He's going to let it go. Is the Shatter Skull smashing part of the equation here?
He could just choose to do that and just get both of these creatures. Oh, or...
Hello! Hello!
Oh, man!
Goldspan Dragon off the top of the library. That is what he wanted to see. Boy, this draw has been so good for him. All the cheap card draw and interaction early, and now Magma Opus into Goldspan?
Right, so now you go Goldspan, attack, have a treasure up. You play a land this turn. That gives you a total of 7 mana. Next turn, you lay a land. Boom, Magma Opus. And you can still hold the Shatter Skull Smashing too if Simon does run out another Planeswalker or another big threat next turn.
Wow, this is working out beautifully for Jan Merkel. It's been 16 years since he last won a Pro Tour level event. Looking to do it again. Let's make it a habit, he says. Every 16 years I'll pick up a win at one of these things.
All right. Simon is going Wandering Emperor, maybe, please?
Oh yeah, there you go. That's
Just
the
to
type of
prevent
card
the
that could
treasure?
get him back into it. Oh,
Hey,
and it's a Wandering Emperor,
hello.
Paul. That's
Hello,
the
Wandering
one.
Emperor.
Simon said, okay, that's what I was hoping for.
Now,
is 2 mana
keep in
available
mind,
here
this
from
Magma
Jan.
Opus is going to be devastating. Even if Simon plays Wandering Emperor here, right?
Yeah.
You can destroy the entire board. You'll kill Wandering Emperor, Tenacious Underdog, and the 1/1, and have a 4/4 and draw 2 cards.
Down to 16 goes Merkel, and here's Wandering Emperor.
I mean, it's good. It was a very good draw, but remember, Jan still is just going to completely wipe this board here.
Oh, so gross.
This Magma Opus. Oh man, has there been a better one?
It's hard to imagine much better than this. This is also game 1. So much fewer cards to have to worry about here from the Esper mid-range player. Spell Pierce would be extraordinarily annoying.
It would be, but this is just your best opportunity. You have to wait so many turns to play around Spell Pierce. Now, alternatively, Jan could choose to just go for Shatter Skull Smashing, right?
Okay.
And wait to pick your spot on that. Or just look to cast Magma Opus on Simon's upkeep, which is what it looks like he's doing.
Yeah, if you're going to get pierced, you may as well spend a mana here, but that's not what's going to happen. And this Magma Opus is devastating. He's targeting 3 creatures, or I should say 2 creatures and a Planeswalker, and then the lands. He's going to get full value on all of it.
Oh, man.
He's also taking him off of blue for the turn.
Right, so no Kaito, no Spell Pierce, no Rafine.
Right.
Now, what does Simon do? Simon could either activate Hive, but probably more interested in drawing cards here with Tenacious Underdog. And another Magma Opus.
That's what it does.
And that's
Opus
the thing.
into Opus.
You don't need to combo, right? Because of how reactive Jan's hand was and how perfectly all of his threats lined up with what Simon had, he just got to the point where he's just going to start hardcasting the Magma Opus, and it's just too many cards for Jan.
He is going to overwhelm him, especially if Simon's best play for the turn is just tenacious underdog. No damage, by the way. There was a block there. Just lose 2 life, draw a card for 4 mana. That will not keep up with Magma Opus.
Definitely not.
And the damage adds up really quickly as well. We see the 4/4 getting in. That's going to be 12. And then Magma Opus is going to do 4 and make another 4/4. This one's just about in the books.
4 plus 4 plus... That sounds like lethal to me, Marshall.
It does
right?
to me as well. Just the perfect setup for Jan Merkel. All he needs to do is survive, or have his creatures survive the turn.
Right, and again, this Vanishing Verse, not able to take down these blue and red elemental tokens. Now,
is there a land opportunity here into Meathook Massacre?
Absolutely. I mean, that is what Simon can find here, right? Because this is going to put Simon down to 5 mana. He's got the Meathook Massacre.
Oh my, if he finds an untapped land, he could reset the board.
He could, and that's going to be huge. If he doesn't, he loses on the spot.
And it's a Rafine Scheming Seer. That's not going to be good enough. He took him off of blue again, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, he can't even cast the Rafine. It's a blank draw thanks to Jan Merkel planning ahead and taking him off.
Not quite dead. You can chump block with, well, okay, now you're dead. Now you got to go with Band Dragon and a Dragon's Fire. You have it all.
You're right. You were going to say the Hive?
I was going to say that the Hive could chump block, but at this point now you had, not only did you find a removal spell for the Hive, you also found a Dragon.
It really snowballs from there. And there's game number 1 going to Jan Merkel. He is 1 step away from the championship here. All he needs to do is win one of the next 2 games, and he'll join quite an elite club. Being a 2-time champion at this level is not something that's easy to do. Very few people have reached that goal.
Yeah, elite company here we're talking about. And it almost feels like it's kind of a matter of time. Just the level of consistently good finishes that Jan has been putting up over the past couple of years, right? Took a big break after winning Pro Tour Kobe in 2006. We went back to a world where we were running all these events online, gave Jan the opportunity to try and qualify again from the comfort of his own home. And here he is now, 16 years later.
It's got to feel like a lifetime ago for him, so young and, so early in your career, and it all just comes together, and all of a sudden you're holding a trophy, probably going, how did this happen? This one hasn't been like that, though.
I don't even know what I was doing when I was 16, but it was certainly not winning Pro Tours.
Not winning PTs. Sideboarding happening here. This is huge. Simon Nielsen, he really needs to see one of those curve out hands, right? He's going to be on the play here in game number 2. And this is one of those situations where if he can catch Jan without a 1-mana removal spell, he can build up a board. We saw that happen in the last match where Simon played Luminarch Aspirant on turn 2. It miraculously survived and it went the distance.
Right. I mean, that was one of those games where Jan basically had the perfect hand, right? He was on the play, had all the answers early. Simon's hand wasn't bad that game. Mm-hmm. He had the threats, he had the pressure, he had some removal, but Jan's hand just lined up perfectly. Simon really wants Jan's hand to just be full of just those really expensive cards, right? Instead of the reactive spells, because that's also the cost of playing decks like this, right? You will just lose games where you just draw 2 Magma Opus in your opening hand, and you just don't have enough ways to interact, and you just get run over.
Yeah, that does happen all the time. Also, life's a little bit easier for Jan in the first game, as he doesn't have to worry about these hard counters that we see here from Simon. What do you see, Paul?
Simon mulled the 5, has an aspirant, but Jan has a Spikefield Hazard
to
kill
perfect answer.
The aspirant. But he doesn't have a blue source to disruption this. Well, that comes to play tapped.
Yeah, that's still ETB's tapped, though. He did find a blue source here.
So this Luminarch Aspirant has to do a lot of work here for Simon Nielsen. It's the only threat he has left. Jan does not have an immediate answer to it, but man, does it have to do some heavy lifting here.
Yeah, this is really tough spot here for Simon Nielsen. The mulligan to 5 is so crippling, and it's such a high leverage point in his career. You hate to see it. The question now for Jan is, can he successfully navigate this hand to victory over a crippled opponent?
Big threat
on 5, and it's another land.
All right, so Luminarch Aspirant. Hope you don't have a removal spell. Hope I can change some threats here. He needs Jan to whiff on a couple of turns here.
There's a negate.
That doesn't do anything.
That doesn't do much. Expressive Iteration, of course, part of the equation. 2 cards left now for Simon. Meanwhile, Jan staring down at a full grip. He's got 7.
Yeah, and he's got the combo in hand. Hinata plus Magma Opus. Jan
huge moments here.
Right. What Jan really wants to do is cast this iteration and find an untapped blue source so he can keep up that spell pierce that he has in hand. Right now, he doesn't have that blue source. He's going to be ecstatic if he can find it here.
He knows that he has a bit more wiggle room with the mulligan here, the double mulligan from Simon.
Okay, can he find an untapped blue or a removal spell? He finds the removal spell.
Does.
That's big. Now Simon is on nothing. Nothing but lands and a negate. Very big here for Jan.
Crazy. Look at that from that iteration. It's exactly what he needed. Jan Merkel is starting to breathe sighs of relief, and Simon Nielsen and his disdainful stroke negate. He has no pressure whatsoever, and Jan can just have his way.
Running out the Fable. Likely seeing a negate here.
That's right. The Spell Pierce will not be able to protect here. There's 4 lands for Nielsen, so the Fable's going to get countered.
All right, and what do you need if you're Simon Nielsen? A 2-mana creature? That's a threat? That's not going to get it done.
A land off the top of the library here for Nielsen. No hope in sight at the moment.
He does have a stroke here for Hinata. But Jan, with no pressure on him, can afford to play around it this time. He doesn't have to just run out Hinata.
Jan Merkel looking to solidify a place in history alongside names like Finkel, Baborowski, Buddha, Bloom, Jensen, Herzog, Nassif, Yasoka, Damata Rosa, Kibler, Manfield. I mean some of the best players we've ever had.
That's basically almost all Hall of Famers, by the way.
Yes.
That is incredibly elite group of players there. And Jan is extremely close to joining them.
Here it is. Hinata Dawncrowned goes on the stack. Vanishing Verse won't do anything. Disdainful Stroke will not resolve here. Has the music stopped for Simon Nielsen? Is this the end of the road?
He needs an Infernal Grasp here.
Got to get the Hinata off the battlefield immediately, and it's another land for him. The wheels have come off for Simon Nielsen. And it's double Goldspan Dragon Magma Opus with Hinata on the battlefield now for Jan.
Yeah. Afraid this is going to be it here. I mean, he does have the Vanishing Verse for the Goldspan Dragon. But still needs to deal with the Hinata. Remember, there's that Magma Opus as well here for Jan Merkel.
He's going to let the verse happen, but there's a treasure token out of it. In comes Hinata. This is surely the last chance here for Simon. He's got to find something, and probably a lot of somethings, to get back into this thing. It's a plan.
That's not going to do it.
Hard to find any way forward now for Simon Nielsen, as Jan Merkel has a stacked hand with a backup Goldspan Dragon and Magma Opus. And he gets to just keep slamming threats onto the battlefield here. Look at Simon Nielsen's life total crumble.
Wow.
And that's Simon saying, wow, man, you got it. What a draw here from Jan. He takes full advantage of the double mulligan here from Simon. And he is dropping the hammer now. Hinata and Goldspan Dragon both into the red zone. Down to 8 goes Simon. Any 2 of these cards can kill him now. 2 creatures, the Magma Opus plus a creature, and it would be lethal.
I don't think there is not a card in Simon's deck here with the Spell Pierce and Make This Appear back up. There is just not a card that Simon can draw to get him out of here.
Right, and Jan can
like
take him
Magma
off
Opus.
of black mana as well.
Yeah, just tap down both black sources. No Meat Hook, even though it's not going to be good enough given what Jan has.
That's right. So this is going to seal the deal here for Jan. Merkel has poor Simon Nielsen. Hey, the music keeps playing for him.
One final jam.
Back in the groove. You got to love his attitude and how he's approached everything this weekend. But it was not to be. It's Jan Merkel. 16 years ago, he won a Pro Tour, and 16 years later, he wins a set championship. Congratulations to Jan Merkel, your champion here from the streets of New Capenna.
What an incredible run here with the Jeskai Hinata deck. Jan Merkel, 2-time champion here. Hey, by the way, I won.
Honey, I won.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
You can pop out the champagne now. Let's celebrate.
Wow, what an incredible victory for him. Great stuff from Jan. You can tell all the hard work that he's put in preparing for this tournament.